Hi, glad you're joining me today to read this book with me. This book is called The Boss Dog of Blossom Street by Rita Ray. And lots of my friends like to read about dogs or love dogs, so I thought this might be a fun dog book to read. So what I want you to do is as I read, I want you to follow along with the words, and I want you to be reading them too with me. So we're going to read together. Remember what we call that choral reading, okay? All right. So let's turn the page. Let's see what happens in our story. Chapter 1, Blossom Street. Snap was a small black and brown dog. He was the boss dog of Blossom Street. One Saturday morning, he walked up and down Blossom Street as usual. He sniffed all the doorsteps and lampposts. He wagged his tail at all the children who saved scraps for him. He poked his head into baby Kelly's pram. Kelly laughed and touched Snap's wet nose. So I'm going to stop here for just a minute. And there's this word pram, P-R-A-M, pram. It says he poked his head into baby Kelly's pram. Now let's think about what that could mean. We're going to use our context clues, which is one of our strategies. What does the word say and what makes it? So he poked his head into something. Okay, so it's called a pram. So it could be all kinds of things, right? It could be a box. It could be a wagon. So, but we don't really know what pram is. So now we're going to use our picture clues, which is something that we do a lot. First you want to use the words, but then let's go down here and see. And we're going to look at this picture here. And here is our dog Snap. And it says he liked to see the kids, and then he would poke his head into the baby's pram. And if you look, we see a baby right there. And the baby is sitting in something. What is it that she's sitting in? I noticed one of those things that go up and down that cover babies, and there's a handle. So it's like a baby carriage or a stroller. So pram is a word for a baby carriage or a stroller. We didn't even have to look that up online. Pretty crazy, right? All right. Then Snap made sure that the dogs and cats on the street were in their places. Dogs had to stay in their own backyards, and cats had to sit on the backyard walls. That's if they dared to come out at all. Snap trotted back to his own door. Everything seemed fine on Blossom Street, but everything was not fine. Okay, so let's take a look at that picture. Oh goodness, you can see lots of things going on there. Just think about Snap. It said Snap made sure that the dogs and cats on the street were in their places. Dogs had to stay in their own yards, and cats had to sit in the backyard walls. So thinking about what kind of a character is Snap, would you say he was one, shy and timid and bashful? Or would you say that he was two? He was kind of a boss dog, and he was very take charge of the situations. Think about that one for a second and choose. Do you think he was one, or do you think he was two? I think he was two, right? He's kind of bossy, but maybe not in a bad way. He's just making sure everybody's following the rules. But now what do you have down here? Everything was not fine on Blossom Street. What do you think could be the problem? I'm looking at my picture clues and I don't see anything. I want you to think right now for just a few minutes. I want you to think about what could be a problem that might be going on Blossom Street. So think about your neighborhood and your street, and what are some problems that can happen? Okay, I want you to make a prediction. So remember, a prediction is a good guess based upon the information you've been given. Well, we're dealing with a dog. We know he lives on Blossom Street, that there's kids that live on the street. Looks like, there's some other animals on the street. So I want to come up with a good prediction. Would a good prediction be something was not fine on Blossom Street? So maybe, let's see, maybe aliens dropped a bomb. Do you think that would be a good prediction? Is there anything that I read in this story that has anything to do with aliens and bombs? In fact, this seems kind of real. This seems like it could really happen. It's a fiction book, but it's what we call realistic fiction. And that means we don't have, unicorns running around, and it's not a fantasy book. So, aliens dropping a bomb would seem more of like a science fiction kind of book. So that would not be a good prediction. So I want you to think right now, well, what could happen? What might be something that's going on that is not fine on Blossom Street? I want you to take a couple guesses, think a couple times what it might be. Okay, and let's move on and see if we can figure out what that is. Snap's owners, Ada and Harry, were at home. This was odd. They always went to work on Saturday mornings. There were boxes everywhere. Harry was taking a bed apart. Ada was putting cups into a box. So I'm going to stop there, and I want you to think about what's going on here. Something Snap is thinking is weird, odd. Odd is another word for weird. And so why is it weird that his owners are home and that they're doing the things that they're doing? What might be going to happen? You might think about changing your prediction now. Maybe you have this prediction. Do you have a different thought now? Are you changing your prediction? Okay, so let's read on and see what happens. Hello, Snap, she said as he came in. Snap sniffed the boxes. You'd better have your doggy chunks before the van comes. What van? Snap thought. He soon found out. A big van came to the front of the house. Two men helped Harry and Ada to put all their things in the van. So, you think that you're on the right track with your prediction? You think you know what the problem might be? Let's find out what happens next. I can't move away, thought Snap. Who's going to look after Blossom Street? Who will play with the children and keep the other dogs off the street? Who will make sure the cats stay on the backyard walls? Come on, Snap, called Harry. Say goodbye to Blossom Street. He picked Snap up and put him in the front of the van. So where's your prediction, right? What was wrong on Blossom Street? Snap was going to be moving away. Have you ever had to move to a different home? Think about what that's like. Sometimes it's exciting because it's new, it's different, but a lot of times it's scary. It's hard to go to different places when we're used to some place. We're comfortable in a place, so it's hard sometimes to move to a different space. So how do you think Snap is feeling right now? Is he excited, or do you think he's not wanting to move? What do you think? The children on Blossom Street came out to wave as the van set off. Kelly's mom gave Snap a bit of cake. As he looked out of the van window, Snap thought, if I move away, how can I do my job? I'm the boss dog of Blossom Street, but I can't stay behind. I can't leave Ada and Harry. Dogs stay with their owners. Not like some cats I know. They'll go anywhere for a warm fire. Chapter 2. They had to go slowly all the way to the new house. There was a big orange bus in front of it. Snap watched the bus and gave him an idea. By the time he got to the new house, he had a plan. What do you think that plan is going to be? Stop and make a prediction for a minute. The plan could help him to be boss dog of Blossom Street, even if he didn't live there anymore. Snap felt a bit happier when he jumped out of the van. He went to sniff every corner of his new home. The next day was Sunday, and Ada and Harry had to unpack things. The new house had a garden at the back instead of a yard. The dogs around here stay in their own gardens, Ada told Snap. There's no strutting about being boss dog. I'll take you for a walk later. Snap went to see what was at the end of the garden, and he heard a yapping sound. Something was trying to get through the fence. It was a little Yorkie dog with a red ribbon tied in a bow on top of its head. Snap couldn't believe it. Ugh, he thought. What a wimp. That's not a real dog. They wouldn't have a dog like that on Blossom Street. He didn't even bother to bark at the little dog. He heard its owner call, Foo-Foo, Foo-Foo Pie, come to Mommy. Yuck, thought Snap. Let me get back to Blossom Street. On Monday morning, Harry and Ada went to work. I've left a key next door, said Ada to Snap. Foo-Foo's owner will let you out in the garden and we'll be home at 5 o'clock. Will you stop talking to that dog as if he understands, said Harry. What do you mean? Of course he understands, don't you, Snap, said Ada. Later, Foo-Foo's owner unlocked the door into the garden. Good, thought Snap. He ran into the garden and started to dig a hole. Bad doggy, called Foo-Foo's owner. Don't teach my little Foo-Foo bad tricks. Oh. You have a problem going on here, maybe? Snap tried to talk to the dog on the other side. He was a large bulldog with droopy eyes. This looks better, thought Snap. He barked in a friendly way. But the big dog said nothing at all. I can't stand this much longer, thought Snap. I must try to get back to Blossom Street. That night he fell asleep thinking of his plan for keeping his eye on Blossom Street. As soon as Harry and Ada had driven off in their car the next day, Snap started to work on his plan. Opening doors was easy for a clever dog like Snap. So now I want you to stop. I want you to think about going back to the beginning when he started thinking about how he could get back to Blossom Street. They gave us a little bit of a preview. And now he's really going to carry out his plan. What do you think that plan is going to be? Think about what clues we've been given so far. Remember, he talked about the bus at the beginning of the story. And now it's saying the author has told us opening doors was easy for a clever dog like Snap. So there's 2 clues that we've been given about what might be involved in Snap trying to get back to Blossom Street. So I want you to think about those 2 clues, and I want you to make a prediction of what you think he's going to do based on those 2 clues. He set off down the path and out of the front gate. He stopped at the bus stop and stood near a man and a woman. When the big orange bus came, he jumped on behind them so that the bus driver didn't notice him. He sat up at the back and watched out the window. Soon they came to Blossom Street, and Snap got off behind a man with a shopping bag. The driver just saw his tail disappearing. "Whose dog is that?" he shouted. "Has anybody paid for him?" But it was too late. Is your prediction right? Chapter 3. Snap was already running down Blossom Street. He sniffed at all the doorsteps and the lampposts. He chased a cat back onto the yard wall. He put his head into Kelly's pram. Kelly laughed so much that her mom looked to see what was happening. I'm going to stop there right quick. And you notice they have this word here, mum. They say M-U-M. That's not a typical word that we use here, especially in Indiana. It's a common word that you might hear in England. Instead of saying mom or mommy or mother, a lot of times they say mum. And so this book is actually written by an author who is English and who is from England. "Snap!" she cried in surprise. "What are you doing here?" Snap wagged his tail and looked hungry. "Come inside," said Kelly's mom. "There's some meat left from yesterday. You can eat that." When the children came home from school, they yelled, "Snap! Snap! We thought you'd gone forever." They patted him and hugged him. He played with them until they were called in for tea. Here again, there's another clue that this book is not by an author who might have come from the United States, but rather from England. Every day when you come home from school and things, usually you might go in, you might get a drink of water, you might get a pop, or you might have some milk. In England, they drink a lot of tea. And we drink tea too, but it's done a lot. Kind of like how we in America adults like to drink coffee a lot. They would drink tea like that. "It's 5 o'clock," said Kelly's mom. "I'd better take Snap back to his new house." She went to the door and called, "Snap! Snap!" But Snap was not there. The children looked up and down Blossom Street, but they could not see him. In the end, Kelly's mom set off to Snap's new house. Ada and Harry were glad to see Kelly's mom. "Hello, Irene. It's nice of you to visit us," they said. "I've come about Snap." "Oh, he's here." "Well, of course he's here," said Ada. "He lives here. He was fast asleep in the kitchen when we came home. I think he likes his new home." "Then why was he in Blossom Street all day?" "I came to tell you," said Kelly's mom. "Blossom Street? How could that be?" "It must be a dog that looks like him," said Harry. "Oh, no, it was Snap all right. Ask the children." "Just come in the other room a minute," Ada whispered. "Snap understands every word you know." "Rubbish," said Harry, but he went into the other room to hear Ada's plan. "I've got a day off tomorrow," said Ada. "I'll pretend to go to work as usual, but I'll hide and see what he does." Next day, Ada watched Snap get on the big orange bus. She wanted to laugh. "Oh, what a clever dog," she thought. "He does understand." She went to Blossom Street and watched Snap from Kelly's mom's front room. At 4:30, Snap trotted off to the bus stop and caught the bus home. The bus driver said, "It's you again, is it?" and let him on without paying. When Ada and Harry got home, Snap was curled up fast asleep. "No wonder you feel tired," said Ada. "It's hard work looking after Blossom Street all day." Snap pricked up his ears and opened one eye. "We know all about it, Snap." Just then, there was a knock at the front door. "It's a reporter." Sorry, I clicked ahead a little bit. "It's a reporter from the Daily Snoop," said Harry. "He wants a photo of Snap." The bus driver told him about a clever dog who rides on the bus by himself. More like a naughty dog, I think." Snap jumped up and wagged his tail. He liked having his photo taken. The next day, everyone in Blossom Street saw him on the front page. The headline said, "Snap goes by bus." Lots of people came to ride on the bus with Snap, so the bus driver made plenty of money. And Snap is still the boss dog of Blossom Street, even though he doesn't live there anymore. Okay, and so there is the end of our story. And here we can read a little bit about the author. And she's going to tell us, "My name is Rita Ray. I think it is a good name for a writer because people find it easy to remember. Snap the dog lived in our street when I was a child. He was the boss dog of our street, and he really did come back on the bus to keep an eye on things when he moved. Ada, Snap's owner, worked in the sweet factory, which would be a factory that makes things like candy. And she sometimes gave us sweets because we used to give her Snap tidbits. So that was a true story, which is surprising. I actually didn't know that before we started reading this book. So can you imagine having a dog that was so smart that he knew how to catch a bus? He knew what time to catch the bus. He would get on the bus, and he knew where to get off the bus. And then he knew when to get back on the bus and be home when his owners got home. That's kind of crazy. Can you imagine having a dog like that? Dogs can be very, very smart, but that's just a little bit unusual. It would be really cool to have been able to meet Snap, wouldn't it? I hope you enjoy this. I want you to think about any stories you might have about a dog that you've seen or known, maybe one on TV, maybe one that you read about, maybe your own dog who has done something that's pretty smart that you would think is a little unusual for a dog to figure it out all by themselves. Have a good night, and I will see you soon. Bye, everybody.